How can we, as best as possible, protect our employees, protect our customers, protect our company from potentially what's to
A
come?
lot of financial strength, low leverage, a lot of
One of the sayings that we all hear is character is revealed during a crisis. Let me tell you, that is so true. I think everybody was just absolutely laser focused on the mission. How do we make sure that we protect our employees and their jobs?
It literally felt like overnight we came in one day and it was just cancellation after cancellation after cancellation.
It was like somebody turned a light switch off. I remember coming off the plane in Las Vegas and there was no one at the airport and it was silent.
We know that we're going to be really, really busy during spring break. And then when it didn't come, it was kind of a letdown, and it kind of hit you all of a sudden saying, boy, this really is not good.
On our manifest, it would always show 20 or 25 customers booked on the airplane. And then once boarding was complete, we had 4 or 5 customers. So many people didn't show up. You're thinking what's going to happen in the future with Southwest Airlines.
For the first couple of months in the airport, we didn't have the Southwest Promise or the mask mandates for employees. And so it was, hey, can I talk to customers at a close distance? Can we hang out in break rooms? What is this going to look like and what changes are we going to have to make?
Operationally, we had a lot of changes with regards to staff reductions, reduced hours because of increased COVID cases, trying to manage that with the Southwest Promise and different state regulations of wearing masks, not wearing masks in the first beginning, and then managing that during the social unrest and the pandemic. It was very challenging, especially in the beginning.
Once you notice that your business, something bad has happened, the first thing that you do is go try to gather up as much cash as you can.
So we went to 3 of our top 10 banks, and within a week, we had $1 billion that had come in the door that we had borrowed from those 3 banks. And we felt like that would be a great bridge to whatever was on the other side. Obviously, things got worse from there. Well, when we were burning $20 million a day and higher levels than that $1 billion was gone in 50 days.
In total, since the beginning of the year, we've raised $18.9 billion net in liquidity. During 2020, we asked everyone to cut spend to what was essential to just keep the lights on. You combine that with the much needed stimulus from the payroll support funded by the federal government, we were able to avoid involuntary furloughs and layoffs, preserving our 50-year history of providing job security for our employees.
The team's quickly figuring out a new way to work, a new way to do business. You're transitioning to airplanes flying an extremely high utilization of the fleet to extremely low utilization of the fleet. Airplanes are a lot easier to maintain when they're flying than they are when they're sitting on the ground.
An airplane that's not in operation it's a huge loss as far as the capabilities of the airline must have diminished to some point where they didn't need this airplane. And so now we have to take a step back and look. We have these airplanes that are being parked so that we can better prepare ourselves for the future when maybe the airline does turn the corner and we do start getting our customer base back and getting the need to use these airplanes for what they're intended for, carrying our customers what's important in their lives.
The array of questions and concerns that we had beyond just securing PPE were vast. When we started to really significantly reduce our flight schedules at the beginning of the pandemic, we were worried about oversupply of fuel. We had hundreds of contracts to work through. And beyond that, there were local stay-at-home orders and open questions about which types of work were considered essential. So could people even show up to work on the products that we needed to keep our fleet running? So it's just the diligence of the team and the outreach and following up on everything that really got us through those early days until we could stabilize our supply lines.
It became evident, really kind of going through March, and we started getting into the April timeframe, that the needs of our customers were changing, and which that kicked off a lot of the work, which ultimately turned into the Southwest Promise. We mapped the customer journey. What I mean by that is we thought about every intersection that the customer has to go through to travel, and starting from when they park in the parking garage to when they get their bags in the baggage claim office. If our employees can't service our customers, then our customers can't have a good trip. So really trying to balance what customers need, what our employees need is almost essential in that type of redesign of the customer experience.
You're now talking to customers who have a heightened awareness of the pandemic. And then quickly it pivoted from, hey, we've got a lot of customers that are canceling. We don't know what this is going to do to the business, to now, I'm looking around the office and wondering, am I safe in the environment that I'm working in? We really need to look at what this is going to look like long term for our people. So we quickly stood up a remote workforce.
Schedule change to upcoming.
Working in the in-flight field, in a base, we work with a team, and I haven't seen my team fully in over a year.
It's just strange to walk around our campuses and just see where time stopped. It really did.
I mean, when I get messages from people like, I miss your hugs, it makes me tear up because I miss them too. I need hugs. I know a lot of our reps struggle. There's a lot of single reps out there who haven't seen nobody either, have fear to come out their homes. I'm gonna continue to do my best until things get better.
We have to make sure that we always keep in the back of our mind that we are dealing with the most valuable resource that we have, and that is the greatest strength that Southwest has, and that is our people.
I think what you saw during the pandemic were real tangible examples of that, with people serving one another, taking care of one another, sick or not sick. We have obviously lots of examples of people taking time off, taking voluntary separation, many with the mission that it was a way for them to protect and give back.
It also helps protect your friends' jobs. I mean, believe me, I was seeing the numbers, and I know how financially devastating this is for the company. And if I could take it, which was good for me, and it's good for my friends, and it's good for the company, it was kind of a no-brainer.
I never saw myself leaving Southwest, but I guess the thing I didn't realize is like Southwest wasn't going to leave me. I could walk away from having an employee number, but still carry the heart with me and wherever my journey took me.
It's always the practice for her to say, let's enjoy our good times, but let's always prepare for the bad times. And nobody's seen these bad times coming during the pandemic, but some way we were prepared, and we are continually being prepared. And I see us getting out of this thing.
We were pulling for the most important thing at this time, and it was Southwest and all the employees, right? It's that pride and that unity that we share for Southwest that developed and cultivated respect for us wanting to lean in deep to some of the very hard conversations about race, about inequality, about the crisis that we face, whether it be financial or whether it be COVID. When we are together and when we're focused on how we can help and do the best for each other, then we're gonna win. Absolutely, without a doubt.
Things are improving, but we can't let our guard down. And we don't want to let our guard down about protecting our company and protecting each other from this pandemic until it is completely over. So we are close to the finish line. Don't give up yet. Do not give up yet.